Justin Bruno, your current SGA president, is a fourth-year computer engineering student with a minor in business administration from Orlando, Florida. He's been involved with SGA since his first year at FAMU. From being a freshman senator to SGA president, he hasn't stopped devoting his time to advocate for students and their concerns.
I think I'm fit for this position because I'm not doing it for myself. I don't like politics, as I've said before. I'm an engineering student. I like to solve problems. And so, when the politics come around and people's interests get involved, I don't care about that. I care about what needs to be done to benefit the student body. And so I think that's what makes me more valuable, because I don't want to be doing any of this stuff. I'm doing it because I feel like I have to. I feel like I have a responsibility to fulfill my fiduciary responsibility to the constituency that I serve, and that's the student body.
Devin Harrison serves as your current SGA vice president. He is a third-year public relations student with a minor in political science from Tallahassee, Florida. He's been involved with SGA since his freshman year as well, in which he ran for class president and won. Since then, he has served on the Royal Court and been elected as SGA vice president while reaching and maintaining academic success.
I say what makes me a good fit. I've been Goofy Devin since freshman year, and it's still that spirit. Even though I've went through some different trials and tribulations, and I'm a human being too. It's hard to walk around with a smile on your face all the time, but still being able to hop back into that mold of young, rejuvenated Devin. I still have that, and I'm still able to go out here and talk to any other student, because at the end of the day, I'm a student too. I struggle just like you struggle. Yeah, I'm in a different position, but guess what? I'm still approachable. I say all the time, SGA is not my place of office. It's the whole university's place of office. So, that's what makes me a good fit. I'm relatable.
In spring of 2016, Justin and Devin were elected student body president and vice president respectively. However, they weren't allowed to assume their positions because of a contesting of results that stemmed from a lack of electoral commission representation at the law school. This lack of EC representation at the law school has been common practice for several years, but in this particular case, it revealed an opportunity for the election results to be deemed invalid. In response to the contesting of the results, the Student Supreme Court decided to hold a new school-wide election. Justin and Devin find this ruling to not only be illogical, but also a disenfranchisement of the student body. They felt as though a discrepancy at the law school should have resulted in a new election at the law school, and not throughout the entire university. The votes of the student body should not have been ignored and invalidated because of a mistake that was no fault of their own. To combat this decision, Justin and Devin appealed the ruling of the Student Supreme Court, but the university ultimately decided to uphold their original decision. Because the democratic rights of the student body had been infringed upon, Justin and Devin felt that this was an important enough matter to involve a higher court system. They filed an injunction with the Leon County court system because they had exhausted all opportunities for recourse within the university system. The court system ultimately found they could not rule in the case, but agreed and recommended that a new election, if there should be one, should only take place at the law school.
At that particular time, it wasn't really much of an option. And to clarify, it was a petition for injunctive relief with the Leon County Circuit Court. And we did that because there was an election last year. We took part in that election and we won that election. But after the results were released, there was a contestant, and ultimately the Student Supreme Court decided that we needed to do an entire campus-wide re-election. And the university made that decision finally. And because of the circumstances that led to that, not being related to all of the election results, it didn't make sense for us to do the entire election over, especially after all of our counterparts, all of our supporters, and the supporters for every other race, they had already voted. They had already said what they wanted, and the university, by making that decision final, basically said that those results didn't matter. We needed to do it all over again. And that wasn't, not only was that not fair to us, myself and my running mate, that wasn't fair to the student body, because they took time out of their day on that Tuesday to go and vote. And after that happened, the university basically just says that doesn't matter. We're just going to do it all over again. And that just wasn't right. And for me not to seek some injunctive relief outside of the university, after the university had said that their decision was final, I would have been remiss. I would have been allowing the university to trample upon my rights and the rights of everybody who has the right to vote. We call this a democracy, but when people vote, you can't just ignore what they say. And that's what we would have been allowing if we didn't seek some relief.
First off, I think I learned more in that situation about myself than I did about anything SGA related or anything university related. One thing that I know I learned was that I undeniably cannot put my trust in anybody but God in these situations, because they're unpredictable. Things happen, and they're not always going to be in your favor. But God is always on your side, especially if you trust and believe in Him. He'll see you through these situations, and I found myself in a hole when everything happened, and He was the only being, He was the only thing that kind of kept me going throughout it all. So I think I learned that I need to refocus where I put my trust, where I put my energy, because that's the only thing that truly matters.
One lesson that I took from this out was resilience. Being able to really still stand in the midst of adversity, but still be able to really, come up with a smile and really still greet people and still be that person. Even though, people may have wronged you and things may have not went the way you want them to go. But, you really still stand steadfast and you stand unremovable. And you let people know that, I'm really fighting for you. I'm not really doing this for myself. I'm doing this for you. It takes a lot out of you, but you learn how to make it happen.
When the case ended up back in the hands of the university, it was decided that there should be another school-wide election. However, Justin and Devin were the only eligible candidates at that time. After months of seeking justice, Justin and Devin were finally able to take office as SGA president and vice president on January 11, 2017. With only 3.5 months left, they scrambled to start getting to work as quickly as possible. Their first orders of business included making appointments to their cabinet and other positions in SGA. This process was elongated due to pushback from other student leaders who chose not to acknowledge Justin and Devin's authority as the president and vice president. After weeks of resistance and even an attempt of impeachment, they finally decided to respect Justin and Devin's authority. Only then, weeks after they took office, were they able to move forward reasonably with their administration.
Yeah, so well, first off, it's been a little bit difficult because obviously we took office more than halfway into the term that we were supposed to be serving. We took office in January. Our term ends in April. And what made it even more difficult was that when we took office, our counterparts in SGA, for whatever reason, were making it that much harder to get things done. I had to make appointments so that I could have people in the cabinet, in our administration that could help us get work done, and that was just an unnecessary struggle. Trying to get people appointed, trying to get people on board to help us out, and then with regard to the election process, we started off as soon as we got into office, trying to get things in order, trying to get the rules and procedures approved, trying to deliver the election code pamphlet, and we were asking different offices to provide their input, their advice, and everything, so we could get that done, and it just wasn't happening. So there's a common misconception that a lot of that had to do with us, but it really was out of our control. But in spite of that, in spite of the dragging of feet and the blocking of our productivity and the lack of a willingness to acknowledge our authority as a president and vice president, we had to get something done. We had to keep moving. So we've been at the Capitol for legislative session, advocating on behalf of FAMU. We've had dance marathon. We brought Joelle Jones, the Michigan state representative, to campus to interact with our students and stress the importance of getting involved in our political processes. We've done a lot in these 2 months, but it's just 2 months. And you can just imagine if we've done this in spite of our circumstances, in spite of the difficulty that we've had, if we could do that in that short amount of time, imagine what we could have done in an entire year. And so we've done some things, and we're continuing to do some things between now and the end of the semester. We've got FAMU Day at the Capitol. We're going to have students involved in making sure that FAMU gets the legislative funding that it needs to move forward and get things done, and just a bunch of other things that we want the students to be involved in. But if we let it stop here, we will not have fulfilled the things that we promised to the student body last year when we got elected.
With all of the plans they've already begun implementing and the ones that are still in the pipeline, Justin and Devin have unfinished business and are ready and willing to continue their legacy of service here at Florida A&M University.
The quote, unfinished business, we truly didn't even have an opportunity to start anything. Being in office for 2 months, we were so busy trying to put the pieces together and kind of fix things before the other administration, but we don't dwell on that, we move forward.
Back, or so it seemed. A mustard seed was all I needed to sow a dream.